Welcome to the San Diego show here on Roundtable with your hosts, as always, Hunter and Anthony. And Hunter, we are 1 week into the regular season. Definitely not what we've been hoping to see so far, but nonetheless, great to have Padres baseball back in full swing.
Yeah, totally. It's great to have Padres baseball back, but it was definitely a little bit of a frustrating opening week for sure. Didn't go the way we expected, didn't go the way we wanted to. But we got to watch some Padres baseball, so I'm not going to complain about that. I definitely do have some complaints that we'll get into later, but ultimately, Padres baseball is back, and we got to turn some things around.
Definitely got to turn some things around. And that's kind of what's neat about early in the season, especially when your team is not doing as good as you hoped, is that you have to convince yourself there is 162 of these guys, with many of which to go left. Even though we've seen some terrible, terrible things,
Yeah.
it can't stay that way for the entire season. But just jumping right into it, frustration right off the bat is this game. Frustration written all over it, especially after such a disappointing opening day. You have this game where you feel like things are finally starting to turn the corner, and then that eighth inning just slaps you in the face, and there's no coming back.
Yeah, this one definitely sucks because we already got beat opening day, which is frustrating. But we were facing Scooble. Our lineup didn't get going yet, so that game was a little bit understandable. This one, our bullpen is supposed to be our shutdown key factor, and we kind of screwed Michael King out of a really quality start. So that's a little frustrating because Michael King, he went 5 innings. He did give up a run, but it was unearned. So he had no earned runs. He had 6 strikeouts. Now, the problem I did have with Michael King, obviously 5 innings, no earned, is beautiful. We love to see it. He did have 4 walks. He only gave up 1 hit, but 4 walks is something that he can definitely fix from there. Then Morahan came in, and he's obviously one of our shutdown pitchers. 2 innings, no earned, only gave up 1 hit. And then Jeremiah Estrada, who's one of our, usually best bullpen arms, comes out and goes 2/3 of an inning and gives up 4 earned on 3 walks. So that's kind of unacceptable at that point. 3 walks in less than an inning, and then obviously just giving up all 4 of those runs is pretty inefficient. But then Wandy and Morgan came in and shut it down after that. So it was honestly just that one inning of blowing up that kind of screwed us because we did score a run off Framber Valdez, 1 earned, 2 in total. But then that's all we did. After that, their bullpen came in and shut us out. So ultimately, 2 runs could be enough to win you a ball game. Is it going to win you a game every time? No, clearly, as we see in this case. But um, we can't complain for Michael King. We saw a good start, which was definitely good to see after Nick Pavetta's, wasn't exactly what we wanted from our starter. But then Jeremiah Estrada just didn't have it that day.
Unfortunately, did not have it. And that's what was kind of frustrating in this one at the very least, because of what happened in that bottom of the eighth where Estrada walks, the bases loaded. And then you have Wandy Peralta come in. But really, the difference in that series was, I think it had to have been at least a 10 pitch at bat between Wandy Peralta just coming in, which he was doing pretty good. But he got beat by the rookie stud who just came up, McConicle. I mean, that at bat was insane. I mean, you
Yeah, it
talk
was.
about a battle. I think it even went 3-2. And then ultimately in the end, Wandy Peralta makes, I don't think the pitch was right over the heart of the plate. It wasn't a great pitch, though.
Yeah.
But that was one that McGonigal punched into right, and it scored 2 runs. And that just started the onslaught. That's what broke it open for Detroit. They only get 2 more after that. But that's kind of, it's unfortunate where at that point, it's kind of like okay, this guy is exploding on the scene after getting 4 hits on opening day. It's kind of like a best beating best there, which is definitely frustrating. But it's like if you're going to get beat, that's how you're going to get beat. And especially with Estrada starting the season like that, we know how good Jeremiah Estrada can be. So while it is frustrating to see him have these early season struggles, hopefully we understand he can get back to what he is capable of that we really saw on display all of last year. I think the one thing for me that was the most frustrating in this game was the bottom of the ninth against Kenley Jansen. I mean, that was the saddest offensive performance by the Padres I think I saw in this series. And there was a lot of bad offense against good pitchers, but this was just sad.
I mean, respectfully, our offense was kind of pathetic all day. We did end up getting 8 hits, but 2 of those were Cronenworth and 2 of them were Merrill. Other than that, some of our key pieces like Fernando Tatis just goes 0 for 4 without a walk. He doesn't get on base, and he's one of those guys. He's leading our team. He has 2 stolen bases. He's him and Ramon Laureano are the only guys with stolen bases, but he's a base running threat, so we need him as the leadoff to get on base, and he wasn't able to do that. Bogarts was 1 for 4 with a single, which obviously isn't the best. And then this is where the lineup got a little interesting. We had Andujar DHing over Laureano, as in the lineup over Laureano playing left, which not a big deal. But then Ty France was starting because we were facing a lefty pitcher instead of Castellanos at first, which defensively that makes sense. Ty France is a Gold Glove first baseman, and Castellanos is more of a DH. But typically, Castellanos is your better hitter. And seeing as our problem has been scoring runs, not defense, it was interesting to start Ty France. But again, only second game of the season. Then Cronenworth hitting deeper in the lineup. He did go 2 for 4, which was a good day out of Cronenworth. But then Luis Campusano, if we talk about him, he was 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. Don't know why he got the start over Freddie Fermin on the second game, but that was a really bad performance from him. And then eventually Sheets and Castellanos got pinch hits, and they both didn't get a hit. It just went over. So.
And the way it kind of looks, how Stammen's running it behind the plate so far, is they flip every other game, unlike what a lot of other teams do, where the starting catcher will start the first 2 games of a series and then they'll flip, on the day game to the backup catcher.
Yeah.
So it looks like these two are a little bit more of a 1A and 1B. But going back to that bottom of the ninth, some of those names you mentioned that really struggled. It was Sheets, Cronenworth, and then Castellanos pitch hit for Campusano. All 3 of them struck out on pitches that were over the plate. And sure, it is against the Hall of Fame pitch that is Kenley Jansen's cutter. So you can give a little bit of benefit of the doubt there, especially with how good Detroit's pitching staff is. He probably was a benefactor of that too, having Skubal and Verlander and Flaherty and Valdez and all these guys now coming together. Actually, if you think about it, that's probably one of the scariest pitching staffs in baseball with all those collective minds together. So you have to keep that in mind too when the Padres are going down strikeout in the bottom of the ninth to a Hall of Fame closer. But again, 2 runs on 8 hits when you're getting more. It's always frustrating when you lose a game when you get more hits than the other team. I mean, that is just always such a tough way to go down. But that's kind of how it went in this one. And that was, we mentioned opening day last week because it was the Thursday. And this was right after. It was kind of weird how the Padres started the season. They played Thursday, Friday, Saturday rather than a Sunday game. So it was a little odd. But believe it or not, the Padres, they do get a win. They shut out the Tigers, which is something, again, we're looking forward to a lot this season because we're hoping a starter does their job, in which this case Randy Vasquez does. And then the bullpen goes shut down the rest of the way because that's what we're intended to do. And then you turn it over to Mason Miller, who, unlike Kenley Jansen, who should go 1, 2, 3 every single time he touches the mound.
Yeah. I mean, the difference in Mason Miller and Kenley Jansen is obviously Kenley Jansen is Hall of Famer, but he's at the end of his career where he's only throwing 92, maybe 93. I mean, Miller pumps 101 pretty easily. So it's a big difference seeing Mason Miller and Kenley. Like, if Kenley Jansen were to step on the mound as a closer, when we're playing the Tigers, I wasn't scared. I was thinking, there's still a chance we can score maybe a run or 2 off him in this inning. And we looked lost at the plate. But when Mason Miller comes in, it's kind of like, it's game over. And ultimately, that's what it was. Yeah, like you said, Randy Vasquez, 6 innings, gave up 2 hits, no runs, 8 strikeouts. Really quality start from Randy Vasquez, especially after Nick Pavetta's not so great start, and then we blew Michael King's quality start. To get a win off Randy Vasquez's good start was really nice to see. And then Kyle Hart came in for 2 innings, had 3 strikeouts, no earned, no hits, no walks, which was beautiful. And then Mason Miller, same thing, came in, walked 1 guy, but struck out 2 and just completely shut down the rest of the game, which is awesome. And ultimately, their pitching obviously didn't do too bad, only gave up 3 runs the whole game. 2 of them were earned, 1 of them wasn't. But if you look at Flaherty's stat line, it's because of how many, walks and hits he gave up. In combined, he had 4 hits and 4 walks given up in 4 innings. So that's a 2 whip, right? That's not good. That's 2 base runners per inning he was there. And that's just kind of usually what causes runs to score. And obviously this lineup looked a little different. We had Cronenworth leading off, which I wasn't too sure how I felt about it, especially having Laureano hit 7th, who has been our best hitter of the season. Obviously, this was a great performance from him going 3 for 4, but it definitely an interesting lineup. It seemed to work, obviously, as we got the win, but Cronenworth leading off went 1 for 3 with 2 of those runs. Tatis 1 for 3, Machado 0 for 2, Merrill 0 for 4, Bogarts 0 for 4. So that's where we really struggle, was that middle beginning of our lineup. Machado, Merrill, Bogarts, and Sheets all went a combined 0 for 14. Not lots of strikeouts, only 3 strikeouts out of those 14 at bats. Just couldn't seem to get a ball, to find a gap, find a hole. So a lot of these bats aren't terrible. They're quality swings that just happen to find a glove. But ultimately, we can't have those 4 guys go combined 0 for 14 and expect to win every game. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and it's tough too, because then you look right below that and you have Ramon Laureano going 3 for 4. Like, why do you not bump him up to the very least, maybe the 5 hole in the lineup? But one of the tough glaring stats in this game, while we do win 3-0, is that you went 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position. I mean, that's really been the crux of the season so far, not to get too ahead of it, but it's been the glaring numbers with the runners in scoring position. Now, that's one thing we need to change. And it's not that hard to expect that, when you do bad with runners in scoring position, you're probably not going to score a lot of runs. That's pretty self-explanatory, but at least for our instance, we're not going to be able to shut out teams every single game, even though we have good pitching to do it. You're going to have to rely on the bats. And when you get a guy on second or third, you're going to have to bring him in somehow. Now, luckily, like you mentioned with the pitching, this was a great game. And it ends up with Mason Miller, who he teased it quite a bit, having a new closer intro. Let's see what you think.
the Padres, number 22, Mason Miller.
Well, his first.
And I mean it's as good as it gets, right? And I guess what's fun too, what I heard, he was on the Foul Territory podcast the other day talking about it. And I guess the Padres clubhouse attendants are known to be enjoyers of heavy metal music. So this was just right up their alley. And I think they couldn't have picked a better, at least you could say, intro song for that. Because it's that like first minute and a half of the song that's just perfect for a closer intro.
No, it's super cool. And if I'm a batter, getting ready to hit in the bottom of the ninth and we're down, and all of a sudden all the lights go out and I hear that, and then I'm like, oh frick, Mason Miller's coming out. There goes all my hope. Like I'm scared at that point. It's a pretty sweet entrance.
We need to see him and John Champagne, the umpire behind the plate, because he's known as the Grim Reaper, where he's the umpire that, like, it looks like he's stabbing someone in the back when he does a strikeout. We need to have a Grim Reaper, like battery almost, to have the combination of the two. That would be fun at some point this season. But yeah, I mean that, and then you see on the sign with the skulls and the Reaper, like, how are you not scared? And of course, Mason Miller loves it. And he also mentioned too that it's like, where he's been playing the last couple of years, this is absolutely awesome to be in Petco in front of 40,000+ fans who all really love saves. And I think that was one thing that was really cool too, that if you think about it, compared to team, the Padres are one team that really love a save just because of how crucial that top of the ninth getting out of the inning has been in Padres history, turning it back to Trevor Hoffman and all the guys before that. I mean, the save is special in San Diego.
No, totally. And people love it. And like you said, it's almost passed on from Trevor Hoffman. Like, he's the one who started it, coming out to Hell's Bells. Like, one of the best closer entrances of all time. If not, my personal favorite, might be biased, but like that's something that we just get excited about because it's something that's like a part of our history as Padre fans. So it's definitely something that all the fans go crazy for. All the lights go off, phones come out with flashlights. It's super cool. We love the closer entrances.
And that's why it's special that Preller went out and got the best closer on the market, a young closer who's going to be around, because he understands that kind of culture is special down here. Even though, again, we mention it time and again that the player we gave up in Leo DeVries is a special player that we're going to see probably tear up the league in a couple years or even sooner. But to have a dominant closer in San Diego with a team that's winning games there's nothing better.
Yeah, and it was something we needed. We needed a closer. We have a billion shortstops, so as much as it hurts to see Leo go. It was worth it. We needed the Mason Miller, and Mason Miller is now like a super key piece to our Padres roster. So still pretty happy about that trade. Even in hindsight, if he does tear up the league, good for him. And it was a win-win trade. But I believe that we got a good end of that trade. Obviously, Mason Miller getting his first save of the season, super awesome. And then moving forward, we started another series at home, but this time against an NL West rival, the Giants, and came close, but couldn't pull out the win, unfortunately. Not a terrible start from Buehler, but obviously not his best stuff. He ended up going 4 innings, giving up 3, 5 hits, and 2 walks, so a lot of base runners. Did give up a home run. But our bullpen seems to be the highlight of almost every game. Shut down. Wandy Peralta came in, shut it down for an inning. Morgan came in, shut it down for 2 innings, and then Marinaccio came in for 2 innings and ended up closing the game, not giving up a single run. So ultimately, when you look at it from the whole game standpoint, giving up 3 runs in a game is not crazy. You should be able to win a game sometimes when you give up 3 runs. Unfortunately, the way our offense has been rolling, this was not one of those games. We only scored 2 runs, and it was I believe, in the 9th, wasn't it? Yeah.
Bottom of the 9th.
We scored 2, almost starting to come back, but ultimately falling short. And it's a little frustrating that we have to wait until, the bottom of the 9th to finally see the offense try and come alive and then still fall short. So this game was definitely frustrating as we're coming off a series loss, playing at home, for a sold-out crowd. I think we sold out 5 of the 6 home games just to start a series, again, losing in a, close game that we almost came back from. So a little frustrating for sure. I see some managerial decisions in the lineup and stuff that I don't necessarily agree with, but obviously 3 hits isn't going to cut it. So.
Well, and obviously the Padres lineup is not going to be the New York Yankees lineup, but you just had the opening series up in San Francisco that gave up a ton of runs to the New York Yankees with this San Francisco Giants pitching staff. And then they come in here today and they pitch a shutout to pretty much almost the end of the game, to where Jackson Merrill, who got 2 of the 3 Padre hits on the day, hits a 2-run homer to make it somewhat close. I mean, this game was just as dominant a performance by the Giants pitching staff as you can have. And I mean, you look through their guys, I mean, they're all guys who are obviously, their starter Roop went 2 hits, 2 walks and 7 strikeouts. That's about as perfect as it gets.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a game where you can say, I guess you tip your hat to, the Giants where they pitch well, because they got beaten bad at home. I mean, that was embarrassing, especially because they have a new manager who, quite frankly, doesn't know what he's doing because he's never coached in MLB before. So that doesn't help. But he was able to come in and turn it around and show some fight in this game, and that's what went their way, which is why it's frustrating, because we also got beaten around in that first series, and yet we didn't show the resilience at home, the resolve to try to put on a better display. Obviously, you mentioned pitching-wise, you give up 3 runs, that's okay, you can win. But hitting-wise, I mean, what were the Padres doing? They had a day off after the first series on the Sunday, which you never have in professional sports, let alone baseball. You have a Sunday off, and yet these guys can't hit. It just boggles my mind.
Yeah, especially because until the ninth inning, we had 2 hits. Like, we had 2 hits the entire game until Merrill, put one over the fence and gave us a chance at coming back. Obviously not, but we were down to our last strike with 2 outs, and Merrill hits a 2-run. It's not going to happen. I mean, yeah, we had 3 walks, so 5 base runners that whole game. That's not going to cut it. Like, it's not doing anything, especially when we're striking out 11 times as a team. More than a third of our at bats are strikeouts. So striking out too many times, not getting on base, not taking advantage, because again, our runners in scoring position, we were 1 for 4. And the only reason we were 1 for 4 is because, again, Merrill hit a home run in the bottom of the ninth down to our last strike. So ultimately just a really bad offensive performance. Like, it can't really get worse than that. Obviously, we did score those 2 runs, lucky enough, but if that one pitch is a little different, we lose that game 3-0 and we only have 2 hits. So it's very close to being a whole different ball game. But again, we have some people that just can't seem to figure it out. I mean, Castellanos going 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts, and Campusano again going 0 for 2. It's just kind of embarrassing at this point that some of these guys, I mean, Sheets 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. We had Cronenworth leading off again. He went 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. It seems like we are changing the lineup too much, trying to figure out these things that should have been figured out, before we started the season. And now we're trying to ramble and we're rushing to try and figure these things out that should have been kind of set in stone. Like, realistically, our lineup, it shouldn't be too difficult. Our top 4 hitters should be Tatis, Machado, Merrill, and then between Bogarts and Laureano right now. We just kind of need those guys to figure it out. And ultimately, these guys are good hitters, and I believe we can turn around no problem. It's only been 1 week, right? So it's not the end of the world, but this is the kind of, opening week that scares you a little bit as a Padres fan, because this is not the baseball that you want to see them playing.
And that's why you have to remind yourself there's 162 of these games.
Exactly.
Because it's been about as bad as can be with a lot of these players so far to start the season. Again, Detroit, you can say, okay, they're a really good pitching staff. But the Giants, I mean, remind me, but their only starter that's half decent is Logan Webb, who gave up 6 on opening night a week ago to New York. So it's kind of like, I'm not really scared of this Giants rotation, nor their bullpen, and yet they're here dominating. So it's a frustrating experience. And then you get to finally face Logan Webb the next day. He gives up a couple runs, but what do the Padres do? They give up 9.
Yeah, it's wow. I mean, we can't seem to figure it out as a team, right? Like, we score 3 off of him. We only strike out 5 times to him, 8 in the game, so considerably less strikeouts. We get 3 hits, 4 walks, so a lot more base runners, and that's why we scored. But dude, Yerman Marquez, someone who they were hyping up so much before the game, like he needed a new breath of air, he needed new scenery, and I believe, he could still turn around and do good because, again, very early in the season. But we had pitchers go back-to-back, give up 4 earned, because we have Yerman Marquez start the game. He went 3 innings, gave up 8 hits and a walk and 4 earned runs in total, 2 of them being home runs. And then Kyle Hart comes in right after, goes 2 1/3 and gives up 4 runs on 4 hits and a walk. So it's like, guys, we can't – I mean, we finally scored runs, somewhat early in the game in the bottom of the third. We didn't score the rest of the game, but it's hard when, no matter what we do, we're down in the game because we gave up 3 in the first. Like, Willie Adames hit a home run on the second pitch of the game. And the second that's hit, it's like, oh, we're already down. We're already losing. We're just going to lose again. And it's hard to get in a positive mindset from there.
I mean, in the first inning, not only does that first run come around, but they get 2 more. And then the Padres, they have to go down 4-0 first to then rally 3 back, only then to give up 4 more in the 6th. And then you have it in the 9th where there's the 1 run that doesn't really matter. But on top of that, it's just the constant traffic. I mean, 16 hits in a Major League Baseball game is insane.
Too many.
I mean, that is for a pitching staff that's supposedly one of the best in baseball, especially in the bullpen area. I mean, the bullpen gave up 8 hits. I mean, 8 hits. That's absurd for a bullpen that should be very good. Now, sure, yes. I mean, they went to Hart, who's been a top guy so far in the season, and then behind them, they pretty much. And that's the thing. Stammen's pretty much just using the same guys in every game. I mean, like even Estrada, even though this game was over, he still came in. David Morgan still came in. Obviously, Kyle Hart came in early, but he's pretty much using the same guys all the time earlier in the season. So to that point, he's not really giving up, you could say, but it's still, this is a terrible pitching performance. And you have the manager as the guy who came from the pitching department to be the manager, right? And obviously, 3 runs on 6 hits ain't going to cut it either. I mean, we were just talking about it with the last game. You give up 3 runs, you should be okay, and you should be able to win the game. That's what San Francisco is able to do. But with us, I mean, still, the glaring number is 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position.
Yeah.
That ain't going to cut it. And I'm not going to add up all the totals and, so far for the season, but it feels close to a 5 for 50 performance so far. It's terrible. And that's why, again, early in the season, first week, you got to keep that in mind. But as much baseball has been played so far, the Padres are not playing winning baseball.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about going 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position. We had 10 base runners, like the whole game. We had 6 hits and 4 walks. That should be enough to score a couple runs. And honestly, we should have more base runners. But to then have nine of those at bats get into scoring position and go 2 for 9 in that, it's not going to win you the ball game when you're giving up 9 runs, right? So obviously you could win, if our pitching was excellent like some of the games we've seen, we could win that game 3-0. But our trend in pitching is we're going to give up a good amount of runs. We need our lineup to figure it out. And for some reason, it's just been a little bit difficult to start the season. It's been a little bit of a bumpy road. Which is funny because you think getting their starter out, giving up 3 runs, you think that would give them a little boost of confidence going into now bullpen arms that you could hit off of. And they didn't. They scored those 3, and it just seems like they were just done after that because nothing happened. I mean, again, Craig Stammen, like you said, is a pitcher ultimately, so he knows the pitching side more than the hitting side. And again, we had Cronenworth leading off, and he went 0 for 4 in the leadoff spot again. So I'm not too sure why he was in the leadoff spot. Obviously, he did have a good spring, but spring needs to translate first. So I would still have him hitting 7 through 9. And Laureano didn't even play this game. Mind you, he's the only one hitting decent. He's the only one hitting over 300. He's the only one with a home run besides Merrill, which Merrill's going to start every day regardless. And he's the only person besides Tatis with a stolen base. So he's doing it all offensively, and he didn't even get to start this game. Didn't even come in for a pinch hit late in the game. So it's like, I can't understand why he wouldn't be playing in that game.
Yeah, and it's, again, obviously it's probably, I'm sure Stammen's not doing a ton with the lineup. Obviously it's his executive decision, but I'm sure he's getting the lineup from the hitting coach and not really doing a ton to it just because that's not his forte. But no matter who's deciding with the lineup, when you have Ramon Laureano, who's arguably your best hitter so far to start the season, and a guy who can steal you a bag, and he plays decent defense too behind it, how are you not starting him every day? Now, if there's an injury or something they're keeping on the down low, maybe you can give him, the benefit of the doubt. There's something there. But if he's 100% good to go and you're keeping that bat out of the lineup, what are we doing?
Which, mind you,
ridiculous.
Castellanos got the start and left. And technically it wasn't considered an error because he didn't touch it. But there was a fly ball hit to left that he takes 3 steps in on and then has to turn around and get back, and ultimately it falls over his head, which if he would have just took a step back to start, he would have caught it. And that ended up giving up a run. So, I mean, you make these decisions, and we could give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he's dealing with something, just needed the day off, totally. But this guy is hitting like 400 to start the season. He's hitting 389. He's got 2 home runs, a double, 7 hits out of 18 at-bats. He's got only 4 strikeouts in those 18 at-bats. He's got the stolen base. He's got a couple RBIs. Like, this guy is the heart of our offense right now. He's doing it all. And just to see him not play and put someone who is not doing great and very questionable on defense in his place is definitely an interesting decision from whoever, Craig Stammen or our hitting coach. Either way, just interesting lineup decisions for sure.
And you can look on the history and different things and look at track records. And yes, Ramon Laureano right now for the Padres is giving you way more than he really ever has in his career, which is tremendous upside. The fact that he's able to contribute this much so late in his career. And so maybe for that perspective, you have to give him a day or two just because he is, pretty old now because he's been around for, I think, 10 plus years. But still, I mean, if he's a good bat, you got to keep him in the lineup. And luckily, we're 95% negative because the Padres have been pretty terrible, but it's not 100%. And you move on to the next game where Nick Pivetta makes a great start. The Padres get some runs across. They pitch well. They hit well. It's a day game. It's nothing prettier than San Diego day games. And then they finally have a decent performance. And there you go, right? Like, hopefully this can right the ship, but you have a good win by the Padres.
Yeah. And not to take away from us scoring runs, they did have 2 costly errors that did ultimately lead runs in, but we took advantage of it, right? We go out there and we, Pivetta goes out there and doesn't give up a run in the first, which is huge, as we've talked about this multiple times. And then we go out and score in the first. So now we have the lead. This is what you like to see. You like to see good pitching, put up zeros, and you like to see our offense start hot. And they did. Manny Machado ended up getting that RBI single, and I believe it was off the throwing error, that was credited towards Matt Chapman. But Casey Schmidt, if you were watching the game, he did not play a good first base this
That was
day.
a funny hot mic. That was a funny hot mic.
If you didn't see it, Matt Chapman, eventually Casey Schmidt makes another, technically Matt Chapman makes another error, but Casey Schmidt stretches to catch the ball, and it hits the top of his glove and goes over instead of putting his glove up. And when they get to the mound to talk, Matt Chapman tells him to catch the effing ball. And they talked about it after the game. He got interviewed and was saying, it's all love. He's just trying to hold him accountable, teammate stuff. Totally get it. But, I mean, if I'm Matt Chapman, I know it's not my fault. I'm a Gold Glove third baseman. I'm great defensively. Obviously, I'm not going to be cocky about it. But when I throw the ball and it hits your glove, catch the effing ball. I get it, right? Especially because it's giving up runs. It's not like it's, a meaningless 2-out error. He's just on first now. It's causing them to lose the game ultimately. But yeah, again, much better hitting performance from our team. Tatis from the leadoff spot got a hit and a walk, so he was taking advantage of being on the base path. Merrill did get a run in across the board. Machado went 2 for 4. Good to see that from him. Laureano 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs scored. Cronenworth 1 for 3 from the 6th spot, which was good to see him there. And then Sheets finally with a good offensive performance, going 2 for 3 with an RBI and 2 runs. Love to see it. For me, 0 for 4 again, unfortunately, but to stay positive, our hitting looked a lot better. We put some more bats on the ball. We had 10 hits and 5 walks, so 15 base runners. You love to see it. Obviously, love seeing people on base. And ultimately, errors or not, hits, whatever it is, we scored more runs, and that's how you're going to win the game. The better team is going to be the team that scores more runs and, gives up less runs, and that's what we did. Our pitching did good. Our hitting did good. We scored. And ultimately, like you said, beautiful day in San Diego is a beautiful win. Can't ask for much more.
Yeah, and you look at the lineup and you look who it's spearheaded by. It's Ramon Laureano, who's hitting 389 with an OPS of 1,200. I mean, it's the fact that you're keeping that bat out of the lineup. In the very least, if you don't want him to play defense, do what you did this game and put him at DH, right? His OPS is almost 2 times higher than the next starter, and that's Machado at 785. Yeah. And yes, technically, if you look at the scoreboard, you see, well, Bryce Johnson has a 900 OPS. Bryce Johnson starts 1 game every 5 tries.
I think he starts games a season, and that happens to be both games we've won, actually. So maybe we keep starting him.
Maybe Bryce Johnson is the key to this whole thing. Maybe that's what we're missing so far. But if you look, there's one more glaring number that's not so pretty. We go back to Mr. Runs in scoring position, and that's a 3 for 13 in this mark. So even though we score 7 runs, 3 for 13 with runners in scoring position still ain't going to cut it. That, in my opinion, is the Padres' number 1 problem right now, is runners in scoring position.
Yep. Now, if we were to count errors as hits, we would have been 5 for 13, which is a lot more pretty to look at. But unfortunately, errors aren't hits, and if they make those plays, they get out of the inning, no runs scored. So 3 for 13 is just, not a pretty number. I mean, we're lucky that they made errors. Ultimately, I think we still would have won because we scored, a couple unearned. But we really got to do better with runs in scoring position because we have the bats and we're taking good at bats. But for some reason, the second we get a runner on second or third, it's like we forget how to hit, right? So we kind of just got to figure it out as a whole. I don't know whether there needs to be something talked about, new approach, or the hitting coach needs to fix some swings. But when we get a runner in scoring position, we got to be able to move them over and bring them in because there was multiple instances to start this week where we had a leadoff double and didn't even move them over, let alone score them, which we got to be able to do that, especially in games when we're losing.
Yeah, and that's what's frustrating. Or I don't know how many times we had the bases loaded these two series and got 0 from it. I mean, I feel like, especially in that Detroit series a little bit more, there were, I
Yeah.
think, 2 or 3 instances where the bases were loaded and we got no runs from it. So it's just instances like that where it's so tough to follow along with, because you know that this, if one thing goes right, you're winning that baseball game. And that's why it's so hard to watch. And then you realize, and then eventually then on the top of the inning, Detroit puts a crooked number on the board. It's like, it's these little things that just, they can change the whole outcome.
Yeah, for sure. And again, it's a 7-1 victory. Can't complain about it, right? We're 2-4 on the season that you could complain about, but today was a pretty win. It was a good pitching performance. I believe the one run we gave up was in relief from Morahone. He went an inning and 2/3. Just happened to get away from him. He still looked pretty sharp, I would say. But yeah, I think our main problem hasn't been our pitching because we've had a couple of good starts. It's more been our offense. And if we look at it, besides Laureano, he's hitting 389 in 18 at bats. We have Merrill, who's hitting 217 in 23 at bats. The only other person with a home run on the team. Andujar's hitting 167 in 12 at bats. Bogart's 167 in 24 at bats. Campy's 0 for 5 with his 4 strikeouts. Castellanos is 2 for 12. Jake Cronenworth is 4 for 21, hitting 190. Freddie Fermin isn't much better than Campusano. He's only hitting 0.71, 1 for 14. Ty France was 0 for 3 in his only start. Bryce Johnson is 1 for 4 with a double. Not very many at bats, but then Manny's at least hitting 263. He's 5 for 19, so Manny's not doing too terrible. 176 from Sheets, and then Tatis is hitting 240. So obviously, our star hitters are usually Merrill, Machado, and Tatis. They're barely hitting above 200s. Manny a little over 250. But, dude, some of these numbers really stick out hidden low. Like Bogarts hasn't really figured it out yet. Jake Cronenworth hasn't seemed to come around. So, ultimately, to win, we got to play team baseball, which might mean start playing small ball. When we get a leadoff single, start bunting him over, because at this point, if Jake Cronenworth gets up with a runner on second, no outs, I'm not letting him swing, because he's proven that, he's not very hot hitting right now. So just bunt him over, at least give him a quality at bat and use him for something. Because we got to find ways to score runs across, and it ain't going to be swinging with these at bats.
Right. And that's the thing is, if anything, if you plan on doing that, then you need to know that you're going to have a guy behind him that can get a ball through a gap in the infield or just bloop it over an infielder into the outfield, right? You need contact guys, which is why, again, you're playing the Giants. Why didn't we re-sign Luis Arias? Like, this is a guy who would basically be the remedy to our situation right now. A guy who's going to dink and dunk the ball, put it in the outfield, and score a run in from third at all times. That's why and he didn't get paid a ton of money either, but that's just one that's just a head scratcher.
Yeah. I mean, he's 9 for 28 on the season with multiple multi-hit games. And if you look at what the Giants are doing with him, I think they are doing it right. The Padres used to lead him off or hit him second, and the Giants are hitting him fourth, and I love it. I love that he hits fourth. I argue with my grandpa about it all the time. Him hitting fourth makes the most sense, because now if there's runners on base, he has the highest average, so he's the most likely to get a hit and score those runs. Now, yes, there's chances are those people don't get on base. Now, let's say we go 3 up, 3 down. Okay, he leads off the next inning, and he's getting on base, right? So I really like what the Giants are doing there. I do think it's the smartest idea to hit him fourth. Now, I do understand the argument of, well, he's your best average, so you want him getting the most at bats. You want to hit him first. Okay, well, Luis Arias isn't someone who's going to steal a base. He hits singles 90% of the time. So what's it matter if you hit a leadoff single, if that can be a double play, if he can't get in the scoring position, and if he's not fast enough to score on a double? So realistically, a leadoff single from him isn't too big. Now, where if you have someone like Willie Adames hit a leadoff double, and then he comes up and Arias hits a single, now you have an RBI. So I think the Giants are doing it right. I think that's what we should have done. We should have re-signed him, and we should have utilized him the way the Giants are.
And you know what? That very much of what you just said could have gone into Luis Arias' decision to go to San Francisco, as they probably had a decision to make him in that then the cleanup role in the lineup. And I'm sure he probably agreed with that sentiment, because you're right. I mean, at the very least, if you have guys on base, he's your best average. He's probably going to get a guy in, or at least move him over. Whereas at first, you're you're kind of leaving a stranded duck at first, unless, Tatis in the 2-hole can get an extra base hit. But even so, Luis Arias isn't that fast, so we might just stop at third. So, yeah, it makes more sense. And to that credit, at least for the player's sake, it might be a better thing that he's a San Francisco Giant than a San Diego Padre, which sucks as a Padres fan, but ultimately, at some instances, you want to see the best for the player. So, yeah, I think that's a really good reason why it's good for him, at least, to go to San Francisco. And like you mentioned, it's already paying off. Like, he already has multi-hit games, and he's hitting – I can't do the math of 6 for 28 in my head or whatever it was, or 9 for 28, I think you said, but that's close to 300. I mean, it's really good. So
9 for 28. I think it should be like right above. It should be right under 330. So like probably 320.
Yeah, which is a great season for Luis Arias, especially in today's game where averages are creeping lower and lower and lower. But that's what's tough. And you see so far the Padres with the first 2 series, they lose the first 2 series. And right now they're currently playing in Fenway Park, which I believe is Xander Bogaerts' first time returning back after his long career there. And they're currently down 1-0. So the Padres struggles continue. And that's the thing, is they're playing a Red Sox team who also have had a terrible start to the season. Yeah. And the difference between the Padres and the Red Sox is that the Red Sox have a very real possibility of being an AL East contender, where the Padres, unfortunately, were not as, you could say, favored to be as much of in play for that West. So you have a really good Boston team struggling, and then you have the Padres struggling as well. So not looking great over there, but it's still so early in the season to cement it is what it is. I mean, it's 1 week in and you already have a power rankings. ESPN put them at 20th. For the Padres. So again, middle to lower of the pack. But this is, again, you got to learn from your mistakes and you got to start turning it around now. So that way come, a month or 2 months down the line, you can start figuring it out with hopefully a decent record.
Yeah. And I mean, if we look at this game, it's similar to what the Padres have been dealing with. Have yet to score a run, and we only have 1 hit in the first 3 innings. But Michael King is doing a pretty good job. He's given up 1 run, sure, in the 3 innings, but honestly, it was just because they earned it. They had a leadoff double, and then they ended up getting a single and scoring him, which is interesting because the Padres can't seem to do that. But we just got to turn the lineup around. Our pitching might give up, 1, 2, even 3 runs in a game. We got to be able to score because we're not going to win a game 0-0. That's not possible. We have to score a run to win, and our lineup just hasn't been able to do that because I'm pretty sure, if I'm looking at it correctly, we have gone 3 up, 3 down every single inning. Oh, I lied. Sorry. We do have 1 hit. Gavin Sheets hit a single in the top of the 3rd. So we went 3 up, 3 down, 3 up, 3 down, single, and then 3 up, 3 down. So it's like, I mean, what can we do? Our team is just not putting together quality bats.
Yeah, couldn't say it any better. I mean, that's just, and that's the thing, right? Is that was the one thing we mentioned going into the season, is that pitching wise, we weren't really worried because it's still going to be Ruben Niebla. And you have Stamen, who's, a carryover from the pitching department. But it's that hitting side that really we weren't sure what to expect. And so far, it hasn't been good. Now, obviously, you're not going to fire your hitting coach 1 week into the season.
Of course.
But you hope he can turn it around and figure some stuff out sooner than later. But again, you got to start proving that you're going to be a good hitting team at some point, especially with some of the names we have in this lineup, right? I mean, at the very least, if you have the bottom of the lineup not show up, that's one thing. But if you're 1 through 4, who are all top tier caliber players in this league, if they can't hit, I mean, obviously there's something wrong.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, like you said, a lot of baseball left. Still have 155 plus games, plenty to go. So all we got to do from now, move on forward, is continue to try and hit. We got to score early. We got to, back our pitching up. When they go out there and they give us 3 zeros in a row, we got to be able to score some runs, right? So we got to put a battle up early. I think that's our biggest problem is scoring in those first couple innings. But I think if we do that and our pitching continues to turn around and pitch the way they've been doing, then I think we'll be okay. We just got to figure some things out and utilize the rest of the season.
You know what the Padres need? They need a lucky charm. And one lucky charm they had a couple seasons ago was their City Connect jerseys. I believe they did pretty good with those Miami Vice themes. Well, guess what? They got a new one coming out here, Dia de los Muertos theme. Now, we talked about it a couple weeks ago with the leaks and what it looked like. and we're like 95% sure that's what it's going to be. It looked pretty similar, but this is what the Padres officially released the other day as a teaser for it. They did not show the jerseys, but they did show this kind of Dia de los Muertos themed little mini video infographic, what have you. This screenshot of it represents it pretty well. But this is what the Padres have coming out soon. From what we saw with the hats and the jerseys, we really liked it. And hopefully this can be a good luck charm for the Padres, right? I mean, we need something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because we showed the leaks, and I like them. Maybe don't love them, but I think just something new. I think something to spice it up. I think something to get the guys excited about. I think it's gonna help. Obviously, I like the colors. I mean, I'm wearing the navy and orange hat. It's one of my favorites.
Right.
I like
it looks a lot like what they're gonna come out with. Yeah.
it looks clean. I like the look for sure. Obviously, I'm a big brown and gold fan. I think it looks great, but I think switching it up, spicing it up, I think it did something for us. Friday nights, every Friday night home game, when we were wear those City Connects, it was electric, right? Tatis has got all his bright gear on. Some of the guys got bright neon cleats. I loved it. So I'm hoping these do something similar, and we can just change it. We can get the atmosphere and the environment, maybe more excited, and hopefully win a game.
Yeah, I mean, again, and who knows what night they're gonna do it. If it's gonna be they're gonna keep it with Friday, or if they'll go a different day. Obviously, I think thematically it's kind of cool, but also like Dia de los Muertos is one day of the year. Like that's and the one day of the year isn't even during baseball season. So I like the color scheme they went with, but the theme of it is a little confusing. I mean, obviously, if you want to go Hispanic, that's great. It's San Diego. Like, that's great idea. But you're right. But I think it maybe Dia de los Muertos, maybe not. But I don't know. Once they come out with it, show us how they do it, right? Because, again, they're going to have a whole thematic theme with it. Thematic theme, that's such a great term. No, once they do with the ballpark and different things, and it might be pretty cool all put together, and we'll definitely see it and let you know what we think. Yeah. But I think that'll be part of it too, because at least when they did the Miami Vice theme, did they do anything in the ballpark to switch it up, or was it all just the jerseys?
I mean, it was pretty much just the jerseys. Obviously, they started selling the jerseys and hats in stores, and they would hang up a couple things, here and there. But for the most part, it's just the jerseys. And I think with this, it's going to be a little bit harder to do a theme, like you said, because it's only one day of the year. And it's a lot to, set that all up just for this one day. And then, Saturday, we have another game back in different jerseys. So I'm not sure. I can't recall if we saw camo jerseys on Sunday at our home game. Oh, no, we didn't play Sunday. That's why. So I would assume what the Padres normally do is Sunday home games, we wear our camo jerseys, which I'm assuming we'll continue to do. And then my guess would be that we continue to wear City Connects Friday night home games. But we'll see. We don't know too much. They're launching, I think it said April 9th, right? So excited for April 9th, excited to watch the rest of the Padres game today, and ultimately just for the rest of the season.
Yeah, we'll have another week of Padres baseball under our belt next time, be here on the pod. And of course, by then, because a week from now is April 9th, we will have those jerseys and we'll talk about them. But yeah, you got to put one foot in front of the other, take care of business in Fenway, and then continue the road trip. I believe we go to Pittsburgh after that, which rough. I mean, we're going to have to face Paul Skeens and Connor Griffin. So that's not going to be easy. But hopefully the Padres can figure it out some way, somehow in this upcoming road trip, right? And then come back home, display those cool-looking jerseys, and get some more wins. But that'll do it for this week's episode of the Slam Diego Show, which this is the first one that will be on YouTube and all over. So hopefully if you made it this far, thank you for listening. And hopefully, stick around, stick with us each week. We're out here every Friday. And keep it up with the Padres. Hopefully we get some good luck going. That'll be it. Thank you for listening as always, and take care.